Welcome to another episode or another recording session of the Booktube Vidcast on the Booktube Network channel. I've got myself, Caleb J. Ross here. My channel is Caleb J. Ross. That's appropriate enough. And I'm also with Donlin T.
Oh yeah, Donlin T. Captain Emperor. That's how it is.
Nice. And the other two members of the Booktuber network are not here. They had other obligations that they had to get to, but that's fine because we're going to have a lot of fun. Probably not. Show me Robot Penis real quick.
All right, this is it. Everyone get ready. Prepare your jocks. Prepare your jocks for explosion time. Boom. This is my new microphone. I have to hold it up like this in order to show.
Don't move it around too much. It'll never mind. Over at litreactor.com, which is an amazing site. I recommend everyone check it out and read all the columns. Very cool stuff over there. It's mostly a writer-related, a writing forum type of place, a writing magazine. So this topic has a little bit to do with writing. The article's called Scandalous, 8 Reasons Intelligent Writers Must Read Twilight. And the summary is basically 8 reasons intelligent writers must read Twilight. That's the summary as well as the title. It's an appropriate title.
Oh man, all these ideas are coming into my head right now. I'm bursting to convey everything, all the emotions are coursing through me. Let's do it. Let's go. Bring it on.
It's okay. So there's a lot of different points on here, but there was 2 specifically that I wanted to touch on because I think they're probably the most universally appreciative and probably the ones that I agree with the most. Now, to be upfront, I've never read Twilight, and I probably won't even after this article. But it makes good points. 2 points specifically. 1, the book has sold a crazy amount of copies, and that's important for writers to know because there's a reason it sold. We might not agree with why it sold, but the market kind of speaks for itself in this case. So it sold. As a writer, you should probably know why it sold. The second reason that we can discuss is you need to have the right parentheses, the pleasure, probably, to bash it. If you haven't read it, should you be able to even bash it? And that might be a topic on its own. So. The first topic, the book sales. Is it important to know that a book has sold? As a writer, is it important to know why things sell? I guess it depends on what kind of writer you are, whether you want to make money or whether you just want to write for the selfish motivation of it, I suppose. But what do you think, Mr. DT?
Okay, so I think it's very important to know exactly what ones are selling. Because, I'm pretty sure the article you're talking about is the one I read recently, the one that you linked. And basically, if you want to be successful as an author, right? Either you got to be extraordinarily lucky. You don't have to be a good writer. You just have to be lucky. You have to be in a field that you're passionate about, and just happens to be the hot thing. So in this case, it would be vampire romance. This person just happened to write a book, sold big just from luck. There's no real secret to it. And if you want to kind of replicate that success, and say you want to build some kind of genre into the same level of reverement, I don't think that's a word, but in this case, I'm saying it's true. If you want that to happen, you've got to piggyback things that are already established, that are already big, right? So you write a book about something related to like a boy wizard, because the Harry Potter series was so successful, right? If you wanted to, say, change that genre into some kind of heavy detective story in which the giraffe has been killed with laser beams, you can do that with that story, right? You just got to be tactful about it. You got to be smart about it. So you make a book, you get well known by doing that, replicating that, like being in that genre that people know about, people are reading it because they're all interested in it, then you can make the transition to a different genre. And from there, you can express exactly what it is that you're interested in.
Is it, I got to back up and ask, though, is it really luck, or is it or do we just want to, and I say we collectively as dissenters and people who probably don't like Twilight or wouldn't like it if we did read it, are we saying that it's luck simply because we want it to have been luck? We don't want it to actually have merit, and we don't really want it to be popular for a reason? Or do you think it really is luck? I mean, I think a good portion of it probably is luck, but there's got to be something more than that, right? To a book selling well.
Let me revise that statement then. What I meant is the luck portion has to do with if you want to get successful, right? If, say, you're just starting out from nowhere, right? You can't rely on luck to get well known, to get your book out there. That's just not viable, all right? That's like winning the lottery. You just can't. You can put some money into it and hope, but you can't exactly pin a future on it. So to break into, like, to make a new genre out of nowhere, it's not feasible, right? So the people that do manage to do that, pretty much luck. I mean, unless there's some kind of, like, as you said, if there's some kind of system in place where people are exploiting algorithms and stuff, I mean, that'd be a lot of work, like, in order to be able to fool everyone. Not really fool, but to kind of coerce people into liking something that you've created. So it's like with any industry, any creative industry, right? You can't rely on luck, so you either have to be extremely tactful and know people, know the ways to like all the secrets of the industry. You have to be so deeply involved in it, and you have to have luck as well. Sometimes people have all the right answers, but it just doesn't happen. And that's because they just struck out. People just don't make it sometimes, even though they deserve to be up there. So, is it possible that it's like, okay, let's agree that there's a certain amount of luck. And again, for the most part, I think I'm probably playing devil's advocate a little bit here, because I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But there might be some people out there who don't. So let me pretend to be them for a second. Well, yeah, I mean, that's for the best. Like, you don't want to agree and be like, DT's all right. He's struck gold with information. Exactly. We're done. I've said all that needs to be said now.
So there's a little bit of luck in there. And let's say that Stephanie Meyer, because we don't know the rest of the 90% of the iceberg, right? So we don't know if Stephanie Meyer had, struggled for years and years. I'm sure there's stories out there that say exactly what she did. Maybe it was luck. I don't know. I haven't really followed it. But let's assume that she did. She came out of nowhere. She, the 90% of the iceberg is all completely visible to her. It's visible to everyone else. It's no secret. There's got to be, like, some basic, are there fundamentals of storytelling that just resonate with people in general? So there are people like, it's basic storytelling. There's a sort of a damsel caught between two worlds. That's an old story trope. That's an old story type. People have talked about it for forever. I mean, it's a tried and true method. She kind of it seems like she took a tried and true story, a damsel kind of in distress between two worlds, and brought it into a genre that people were ready for. So let's take away the fact that it's vampire fiction, right? And it's just a story. Would it have still worked, or would it have worked in a different genre, perhaps? So if it was Twilight set in outer space, if it was Twilight set in, I don't know. It's basically every. I don't want to say that. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just still trying to get at, and we're not going to answer this now because it's just a question everybody in the world is asking. Everybody in the book industry is asking is, why is Twilight so successful? But so we're not going to answer that question. I'm just hoping that I can provide some, I don't know. You mentioned. Go ahead. Sorry. I don't know if did you have something to say? I'm sorry.
Well, I did have something to say. I forgot, though. I mean, I have a really bad memory. I think I have Alzheimer's.
That's what I do.
So,
I think
I'm gonna get. It depends if we're talking about the structure of the story, because that's different. It's different from whether or not a story is successful, right? So I like to split it into two things. You got marketing, and then you got the story and how it's written and what it's about. So the marketing has to do with situational exploitation. It has to do with what's popular at the moment. So Twilight was popular because a lot of young readers are into books. I mean, that's the main thing. If anything has shown it, it's that everyone is into young adults. That's the hot thing. Everyone loves it. So that was that was like the major thing that helped Stephanie Meyer get up there, right? It wasn't the main cause. There is no main cause. There is no reason she got so successful.
Well, then why didn't every other young adult book get that big then? If that was the main reason, if young adult readers are ripe for and they want content, there's plenty of people that are producing content, but they didn't get nearly as successful as she did. So it's got to be more than just the audience, right?
Well, I mean, you can even look at it as the story itself, and somehow it resonated with, even though it's widely panned as something that's actually kind of bad. So, I mean, the same with 50 Shades. It's just kind of bad. So, you got to look at it. Is it just the story's addictive, or is it the fact that it just happened to climb to the top of a very steep hill? The hill being other authors, other books. So, there's no way to tell if a book is going to be successful. There's just like people. It's like trying to predict what the weather's going to be like in a year. You can't do it. All you can just say is it's going to be roughly this weather, and any day in that month of that weather could be different. So it's just like a random. It's just a random event that it happened. It's all luck. It's all random, but there are elements that helped her get up there in order for it to happen.
So back to the heart of the topic. Basically, is should it be a writer's responsibility to read and digest popular fiction? I suppose is kind of the heart of the question. I mean,
what do you mean? Could you
writers
elaborate a bit?
If a writer who wants to be financially successful, is it the responsibility of the writer to be sure that they are aware of and understand and read bestsellers? Right. So, you know, to put sort of the converse on this, I don't tend to read many popular books because I feel as though there's a lot of other books out there that don't have the attention given to popular books that I feel are probably good, so I want to read those and try to, you know, vouch for those as much as I can. But the popular books, should I be reading those if I stand to see myself as valid as a contributing member to the greater reading community? Is it important?
Well, the ones that are relatively unknown, those are the ones with the great stories. The ones that are well known, people don't necessarily read them for the stories. They read them for the attention around the stories, or they read them because it's something to discuss with other people, other readers. It's just something that is readily available, something that everyone knows about. If you suggest some indie book that is actually really amazing and people haven't read it, you got nothing to talk about. So all you have to say is, this book is good, you should check it out, and then 90% of the time they don't do it. So
if the motivation is community, then I guess it makes sense, because it sounds like, you know, out of what you just said, community is probably the most important part, because you want to be able to discuss the books with someone else, and reading popular fiction allows you to do that.
I think community and society around books is very, very important in like people being able to pick up your book, to even just find out about your book. That it's just vitally important. That's the whole reason we're doing the whole Booktube thing, is because if people know who we are, then there's a better chance they'd read our shit. So, I mean, even if our books are shit, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's all about the community around the book, about people knowing the history of it and all this stuff, all the things that make it interesting before they read it. So,
here first, Donlin writes shit, so make sure you buy it.
Well, you don't have to buy it. But in answering your question, should you read popular books when it comes to what was it, when you should
just
read
as a writer? Should you feel responsible to read?
Writing?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I would actually be on the side of the fence that says it would make it worse. It would actually make it worse for you if you were to read a lot of popular fiction. Purely based on the fact that if you do read that kind of stuff, there's a chance you'll start to put elements from it, you'll start to analyze it too much, and it'll persuade your writing, and that's not good. Like, as I said, you should always separate marketing from the story itself. The story itself has to be you. It has to be what you want to write. Okay, that's the most important thing. You know, whatever's successful. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what is successful. It has to be what you want to write, and nothing can influence that at all. So the marketing it's not really vital in the writing process. So if we were talking about selling a book, that would be different. I would say it's very important to read these popular ones, but in the writing, no way.
I think that's the crux of it, and I think we can probably end off on there, is that if your goal is to be a career author, to be financially successful, financially supported based solely on your writing, then you need to understand the market, and the way to do that is to read popular fiction probably. If your goal is to create something more than just a product, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, I'm not saying that's better or worse necessarily, I'm just saying if that's your goal, then reading popular fiction might not necessarily be what's important. It's just reading truly good pieces of literature, capital L literature, I suppose. I don't know.
It's got to be what you want to read, not what everyone's reading. Yeah, that's and on that note, I think we're good.